have you adopted your kid? Did you find did you discover your kids with your wife? Like, is that here? Like, you found your kids in San Francisco or
No, no, but I stay away from the subject.
okay, all right,
But today may not be the day, because there's a huge amount of objectification that has happened in the process, quote unquote, the process, which is a phrase I hate. The process. Um, and here's what I want to say about that.
yeah,
Adoption is one day. It's one day, and then you have kids, and there is a dissociative quality that we've been trained into through systems, and this is the same as I think it's the same as blended families. It's one day, and after that, they're your children. They're not your adopted children. They are your children. They're not your special children. They're not your exceptional children. They're not your other kind of children. They're your children. They go through the same things that children go through in every grade, every step of the way. And every time somebody adds a tagline, step or whatever, all you're doing to that kid is giving them one step out of the circle. You're saying you kind of,
hmm.
because you have this thing. And the entire process is to get that thing out. There is no thing between me and my children. There's nothing between us. They can talk about it however they want to talk about it. That's up to them. I equate it to how they talk about it is they're free to talk about it. How I talk about it is these are my children. There's not. We spent one day in a process that the government put in place. I didn't put it in place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and it's for life. There's no expiration date. There's no, and it's over now. It's for life.
Yeah,
And so leading up to that day, they objectify the shit out of you, out of them, to try to promote the process. They market it to try to they make businesses out of it from in other countries and in this one. And what gets done is this separation where it's forever. Somebody isn't all the way in. Who pays for that?
the kid.
Right.
Yeah,
So if you want to say like I'm almost a dad, hey, you're never going to really be a dad. Here, you're going to go through this process right here. You're never going to really be a mom. It doesn't really work
huh?
because we're always going to put this tag on it.
Uh huh.
And you can treat them like they're your own. You can treat them just like that.
Yeah.
Isn't that horrible? Isn't that horrible?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've experienced one time when somebody said it in front of all of us, trying to tell me and my wife how special we are because we treat our children like they're our own. How much damage do you think happened in that moment?
Yeah, I guess it would depend on how old were the kids.
They're like 10
Yeah.
and 7 and 5.
Yeah.
And they gave meaning to something. By doing that, they gave meaning to something. They put a meaning on their life by doing that. And they gave meaning to the relationship between me and my children. I didn't ask for, and they didn't ask for, because it's part of the herd.
Is that like an example of where like the ego is that the ego taking credit for something and taking a huge step back when it does that kind of?
They thought that they were saying something that was the
Nice,
thing
yeah.
to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the thing to say then they're trying to validate ours.
Right.
But they didn't have the experience of the process to have any sense, and I mean literally, any sense about what they were saying. They were saying something that trying to generate some kind of emotional connection between their little speech and the room that we were in. And it probably worked for most of the people in the room, but it didn't work for us. So it ended up being inconsiderate.
Right.
And it's just like, really? Can you tell I have a little passion behind this subject? Because it's just a ridiculous thing that they've done with it. And instead of the relief that it's supposed to get, it turns into this lifelong freaking thing that doesn't need to be brought up. And now it's almost a thing that gets confessed with for some, with this little thing of maybe a little guilt, maybe a little shame. I'm not quite like the other kids. Instead of, this is my family. What's meant to be, this is my family,
Mm-hmm.
it's turned into something else.